ale o co chodzi? Czemu stoimy? No to czekajcie.
Taki wóz.
Widzę właśnie.
Jaka woda.
Można śmiało powiedzieć, że dla Chicago zamoka, zamiast sobie tu kamerkę z głowy, można powiedzieć, że dla Chicago to tak jak dla Łodzi na środku. Nie? Dobre porównanie?
expansion in 1932. Bigger panels of stone, dark panels in between the windows. When this whole thing is completed, this is the largest post office in the world. It's 2.1 million square feet. It's that big because Chicago is the railroad hub of the United States. All of the trains come to Chicago. All the mail is by train. Underneath this building, picked up by elevators and sort. So it's big, it's over the top of the tracks, and it worked great. But by 1980, this was the most inefficient post office in the United States. They keep trying to fix it, but it never really works, and they realize that it would take more money to completely renovate this than it would have built a post office. That's all they build in a post office. That's it. This gets shut down, sold off, 8 different private developers, nothing with it now. Now, over to your left, empty space. That will continue for about 4 miles down the road. So, that's the center of the city. The city wanted to redevelop this land. They think, all right, we've already done some River City, 1983. Also a perfect building. Now this did not work as well. That building stayed about 70% occupied, but it did not spur development in the immediate area. That was a bunch of abandoned warehouses. In 1983, this is the more polluted branch of the river in 1983. So what happens is, further to the east, a lot of those warehouses start getting turned into chemicals. That marches to the west. All of these skyscrapers are from the last 15 years. Past that, the next one is a 62-acre empty lot. The company that owns this, the Raven West, they're talking about a $6 billion investment over the next 20 years. No, nobody has a glass on the bar. Now, up ahead, we're passing by the origin point of the great October 8th, 1871, the fire breaks out in the barn of Kathleen O'Leary. That was really a huge fire. Under her is the Kathleen, the cow.
Wycieczka, wycieczka.
Doesn't really matter. This place was going to burn down in 1871. So, first off, you look back off to your right, you can see that radio mast in the background there. That is part of the Chicago Firefighters Academy, built on the former site of the O'Leary Barn. So that's where the fire starts. Now, in 1871, this city is only 40 years old. We were founded as a town with 150 people in 1833. By 1871, we have 300,000 people. Everything is badly built. There has been a drought for the last year and a half. There are no building codes. There were 7 major fires that summer before the Great Chicago Fire. This is just the one that got lucky. It starts over there, it's picked up by gale force winds, and it burns 3.5 miles to the northeast. If you're from Chicago, this is Roosevelt. It ends at Fullerton Avenue and Lakeshore Drive after a day and a half due to a rain shower. 18,000 structures were incinerated. 100,000 people were left homeless. 300 people were killed.
UFO? Roswell?
This is still the absolute worst disaster that's ever hit the city. If we come back,
O, okej, możemy robić.
we rebuild and
Nie, czyli od UFO.
ashes. And that is why we are sometimes called the second city. Let's get this really clear. That is not a ranking. This is the best city in the world.
Też.
You might not agree with that opinion, in which case you are more than welcome to go and get your own boat and your own microphone and give your own tour, in which you can say whatever you want. But on this tour, this is the best city in the world. It is called the second city because this is the second one. Now, that is a fantastic view of it. I will get some pictures of this. So I'm going to throw our microphone to do that. If you guys have any questions, just ask. Otherwise, tallest building in the city of Chicago. However, when it was built in 1989, it was the seventh tallest. Nothing got demolished, they changed how they measured buildings. So 1998, the Petronas Towers are completed in Malaysia. And this is a huge deal because they take away the title of world's tallest building from the Sears. Now a lot of people, mostly in Chicago, get very upset about this, and they say the top floor of the Petronas Towers should not count because there's no usable space inside of it. It's just concrete steel tower up to that high. Other people, mostly way up, say, like it's that high. It's not an academic. So let's go back and forth for a while. Finally, the Council on Tall Buildings for the Habitat section with a new standard definition for building heights. From the lowest pedestrian entrance measure up to the tallest structural height. Now those spires are structural. They're part of the building. They gain about 90 feet away. The height is their cost. Also in that direction you can see that building with the statue on top of it. That is the Chicago Board of Trade building. That got built back in 1904. And then right up in front of us, you can see the building with the crown on top. That's 311 South Wacker Drive. Got built in 1990. That crown is there as an advertisement. Not only does it look cool, it lights up at night brighter than the moon. So you will notice it, which is important because it's right next to a bunch of other much more noticeable buildings. Oh, here's a fun one. In the background over there, see that beige building with the narrow window slits? That is the Metropolitan Correctional Center, the federal prison we have right here in downtown Chicago. So a shocking amount of cities, including New York, Los Angeles, Dallas, and us, have federal prisons right downtown because land in downtown areas was relatively cheap in the 1970s. So that got built in 1976. It is a skyscraper prison and it's shaped like a triangle because it was designed by the same architect who did those nice triangle cottages on the North Branch, Harry Weiss. Building says Chase at the top. That is the Chase Bank building, shockingly. It was built in 1976, and this requires a little bit of explanation. Okay, so I live here, and basically everybody who lives in Chicago, if they say the Loop, they mean downtown in general. Bounded by the river, about, what is this road, Harrison Street, and then Michigan Avenue. Technically speaking, the Loop is just the area inside the tracks. And if you go by that definition, Chase Bank building is the tallest building in the Loop. Everything else is outside, including the tallest building in Chicago. So officially called Willis Tower because the Willis Group is leasing the naming rights. Most people still call it the Sears Tower because we're not getting paid. Either way, this building. It's stupidly huge. 110 stories, 20,000 people working in there in offices at any given point. But you know what? I don't really like stories. I don't think they capture exactly how tall things are. The stories are variable. Let's go with exact measurements. From the ground to the ceiling, 1,451 feet, or if you're from anywhere else in the world, 442 meters. That does not include the antennas. Antennas are not part of the building. They're add-ons, so by themselves, they're 287 feet or about 100 meters. And that sounds big, but that is just numbers. All right, one final thing. Look right in front of us. See that white building? The antennas are 20 feet shorter than that. Yeah, that's how big it is. The inside of that structure has 4.5 million square feet. Remember this off to our left? 2.1. Remember the merchandise mart? That's 4.2. This is both the tallest and the largest building in the city. Got built by the Sears Corporation in 1974 at the cost of $168 million. Sears Corporation paid that out of pocket. If you adjust that for inflation, it's like $800–900 million. And this allows me to bring up a nice point. So every so often I have somebody come up to me and say, so all of these are half empty, right? I mean, there's nobody who could possibly use all this space. These are all just like somehow some government scheme to get jobs for construction workers. I'm not really sure what they think that would do. So, absolutely not. Folks, in the best of both ways, a skyscraper is like raw, uncut capitalism, okay? This is, in the best, most depressing description, a machine to make the land give you money. If you don't make money, you have really messed up. Best example, it cost the Sears Corporation $168 in 1974. They made a profit on that in less than 15 years just based on the rents they were collecting from the top half. They made even more money when they sold it. They're still going bankrupt because they're run by idiots. But you look up all the way towards the top, you can see those 4 glass bubbles off the ledge, where you can walk out onto a thick piece of glass and stare 103 stories straight down. Instantly we know who's afraid of heights. It is a good time though, no judgment. I am afraid of spiders. I will never touch a tarantula in this or any life, but I'm not afraid of heights. That's really fun. Those bubbles, by the way, can also pull back and sit flush with the rest of the building. And we need to be able to do that because the windows here are washed automatically. That is too tall for it to be safe for a guy to hang off a rope, so they actually have 6 automatic machines that climp onto rails on the outside. By the way, this is the best view, right? Okay, so I have a little girl who apparently had already gone up there. She was sitting up in the front row. It wasn't until she got right here that she understood how high up she had been and started to lose her mind. That was fun. Okay, we're going to be going underneath a lot of these bridges here. Chicago has 80 bridges total. 28 of them can move. Raise them. You don't have to do that just because she told you to, guys. You do whatever you want. We have more movable bridges than any other city in the world except for Amsterdam. They have like 350. And most of ours are in a Bastille-Trunnion design. Each half a bridge, big heavy counterweight, which makes it easy to raise. It only takes a 108 horsepower motor on either side to get these gear turning. Bridges can open up. Now in this area, they only go about 40
tam daleko, w głębi?
because that's all the traffic.
Nie, poszedł z koleją.
Everything else is signed to put underneath. They're not permanent. Okay, go ahead to the right. Very corner. In 1987, it is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
Nie, to jest pociąg. Nie, to jest normalny pociąg. I to się dwupiętrowy.
To get that, the building is shaped like a U.
Metro inaczej
Towers
wygląda.
on either side, and then in the middle is a section hanging from the towers, which means that does not have to support its own roof. It can be totally open. Cool idea, slight problem. If you take 2 perfectly straight towers and hang something from them, they will sag, which is not good. So to counteract that, they build the towers up first. As each is built up, it is lowered. I don't know. of an inch in the 18th floor, eighth of an inch out past that. Exactly enough when they add in that central bit, the towers are pulled typically 90 degrees straight top to bottom. If they had messed up any part of that math, it would have been demolished the entire thing. Alright. Oh, here's a fun little piece of trivia for you. Anytime you see something with jagged corners like this, it is almost 100% of the time the office buildings in the late 80s, early 90s, because that's when everybody got obsessed with having a corner office connecting the city to the floor. To your left, you can see 2 North Riverside Plaza. This got built back in 1929. If you look to the bottom left and right of the clock faces here, you'll see a series of carvings. This building was a newspaper headquarters. The carvings are the history of writing. Starting from the left, somebody carving on a tablet, writing in a book, working in early printing press, and working in linotype press, the length of printing technology. The obelisks on the bank of the river here, these are in Egyptian touch. King Tut II was honored in 1822. So like 15 years after that, everybody's obsessed with Egypt. Art, fashion, design, Egyptian gods all over the place. Well, here to the right, we got the construction. So foundations, which is what we're working on here, are very important in Chicago. We are on terrible soil. This is not solid bedrock, this is 85 feet of clay, muck, sand, and gravel. Anything big and heavy we're building on top of that is going to sink into the area, unless you take appropriate measures. So modern buildings in this area, about like 30 to 80 of those caissons. Those big steel tubes, they sit all the way down to the bedrock and they're then filled with reinforced concrete. That's what goes inside of them. Do they have any laying out today? No. So everything over here is well founded, but let's talk about this again. So remember, that's all the room they have for the foundation, which means this is only on 16 12-foot or 4-meter wide caissons that go 110 feet or 32 meters underground into the bedrock itself. For perspective here, water line up where the building finishes further down, that's about 85 feet. So the foundation is deeper than that. This ain't going anywhere. I got to watch this get built. Took 2.5 years. Remains one of the coolest things I've ever seen. If you would like to see that, Google the address of this building, 150 North Riverside Plaza, time lapse. Somebody in one of these office buildings stuck a webcam in their window. They took a picture every day, and you can watch that happen in like 10 minutes. It's actually pretty cool. You're about to get a fantastic view of the merchandise marks that come out underneath here. So the Merchandise Mart is a very Art Deco building. And it's a nice way to show you a trick that Art Deco does. So this, absolutely gorgeous building. It's also exactly 2 city blocks wide. And think about that, because it's big, obviously, but doesn't really feel sprawling. It's got some grace to it. There's a reason for that. Our brains are wired so that we like to follow continuous lines rather than broken lines. And if you look side to side on the building, that's a broken line. If you look up and down, that is a continuous line. Naturally, your eyes are drawn up, which makes the building feel taller. That basic trick is on every single Art Deco building, and it is still really commonly used today. See that glass is silvery behind it? That's why those silvery lines are popped out. Draw your eye up at the top of the building. And over here to our right, we got Wacker Drive and Riverwalk. And that's in the way. He's not architect. So, Wacker Drive here, 3 public service announcements. Wacker Drive is a curving road. It follows the river. It's got south, north, west, and east addresses. It has 2 levels and is on the next street. There's an entire alphabet open on the other side of the river on the whole city. If you know what you're doing, it's a really neat shortcut. If you have driven here from out of town, your GPS is going to tell you that's a shortcut, take you underground, it will abandon you entirely, and then, okay, this is happening a couple of years. No shame. It took me 5 years to live in this place before I figured this out. Just stay on the surface. You'll get where you're going eventually. So, over to our right, we got the Riverwalk. The Riverwalk It was originally built in 1922. It was narrow, it was cramped, nobody really used it. Since 2000, the city began expanding, linking, and widening all of the various sections together. These last 6 blocks here with another parallel party, they jump around the theme all the way down, they keep adding new stuff to it. We're going to have some projector things right there that will leave art onto the merchandise by the night. That's pretty cool. But this, when it got finished, was the first time in the city's history that it was blocked from the junction along the riverfront all the way out to Highland. It has massively improved this area of the city. It's rapidly become everybody's favorite thing to do down here. I really enjoy it. Now up ahead to the left, this squat skyscraper right there, that was built in 1911. And this is a nice example of some of the earliest forms of skyscraper architecture. The very beginning, architects model skyscrapers after the shape of a column. Columns are tall, narrow, and have 3 parts. They got a base, a shaft, and a capital. You look at this building, defined base, defined middle, defined top. And the architect that renovated it in 2004 added a glassy top that continues that column theme. So they work together. Up ahead to the left, we also have this brick building with the clock tower. That is the Reed Murdoch building. It was built as a warehouse in 1914. And then they renovated it back in the 1980s. If you look to the left and right, so that was permanent for us. Now the right building with the flight top is 77 West Wacker Drive. That built in 1992, and the architect was a Spanish architect who made for This is modeled after the temple. The top after the Parthenon, and then you got narrow white pillars instead of columns, and instead of open space, you have blue reflective glass. It feels like a little bit straightforward most days. That is one of the best buildings in the city. Beyond that, up on the right, got the black brick flagpole. That is 35 West Wacker Drive. It is shaped like a giant column. I mean, to be clear, most skyscrapers, like we just talked about how they were originally inspired by columns, but this is a deliberate retro throwback to that, so it is just straight up giant block of column. And you can see about a third of the way up, the windows get taller. At the exact height of 55 West Wacker Drive, it's the immediate neighbor to the right. In front of us, you got the building with the gold on top. It was built in 1928. That top is actual 24 karat gold plated. The rest of the building is in blue terracotta top. There is a story that the architect decided to resemble this to a bottle of champagne to express his feelings about prohibition, which was happening at the time. Full disclosure, I have never found any proof of that, but it's an amazing story, and I have never found any proof. It did not happen. I think that looks like a bottle of champagne, so I will go with it. Bottom left, you can see the series of white, gray, and black tiles right there. That is an art installation. According to the artist, she modeled this after reflections on the river. So you don't get clear lines, kind of get blurs, dark and light on moving water. That's what she's going for there. And then right up in front of us, we got the narrow white building. That's the Mather Tower, built in 1929 as an office and then converted into a hotel. Each floor in that spire, separate suite. You cannot just rent those out though, you have to be a member of the corporate club. If you don't know what that is, you're not going to know that. Okay, the architect says he kind of modeled after the price of building a little bit, which there's also some pretty good foundations in Philadelphia that this really borrows from heavily. Either way, I like it. The source is a little bubble. Oh, you guys might go to like this over here is bustling and active and full of people. Area up on the left is there, they're not existent. That's going to ease all looking good. This is not, never will. Because this river is already this building. So they put up $100,000 in prizes. Out of 263 submitted designs, that was deemed most beautiful, based off the Gothic Cathedral in Rouen, France. Now, this is getting turned into condos. Tribune moved out like 2 months ago. All that's going to be residential. Let's all just take a brief moment as a vote collectively and hate whoever can afford the penthouse. Because I saw the plan and that will be one unit up there. Yeah. Over to our left, 7-layer thick glass walls of the Apple Store. So this got built just last year, brand new addition to the riverfront, and that's a very historic spot right there. 1782, Haitian fur trader by the name of Jean-Baptiste Pointe du Sable established a post, and as far as we can tell, that means he was the first permanent non-native resident of this area. We call him the first Chicagoan as opposed to the first Potawatomi. The brown building with the peacock on the top, that's the NBC building. It got built back in 1989. A lot of callbacks here to 30 Rockefeller Plaza in New York, the NBC headquarters, and those arches are a direct nod back towards the Tribune. The low building with the angular bulges at the University of Chicago's Bleacher Center, their downtown campus. Those bulges are lecture halls. They do not have windows because the architect figured that students should be focusing on the lecture and not on the skyline of Chicago. To our right, the tall white building is the Aon Center. That is the third tallest building in the city right now. It's from 1976. So, the order of height, if you're wondering, Sears is the tallest, Trump's second, at the third. And then if you look straight to your left, you get a very brief glimpse in the background there. That black building with the X bracing on the outside, that's the John Hancock. So, commonly confused with Sears Tower. They're by the same architect and they were built 6 years apart. The way tall apart, Hancock has X bracing on the outside. Sometimes I get people asking me if there's a law that says you can't build anything taller than the Sears Tower. Absolutely not. I'm going to guess that would cost about $1.1 billion. If you have that kind of money, if you want to build something here, go nuts. No one will stop you. But although there is a massive demand for skyscrapers in general right now, we've got a lot of new construction. I honestly don't see anything higher than the Sears Tower happening for at least 40 years. It's just, there's no need to make it that big. But I would love to be proven wrong, who knows? So, talk about this river for a bit. We've been on it for a while. This river is the reason we are here. As long as people have existed in this area, they've known that this river is the shortcut between the Great Lakes and the Mississippi. And the way this used to work, you would start from Lake Michigan, you would paddle your canoe down the South Branch about 30 miles. You'd get to a giant swamp. You pick up your canoe and drag it through the swamp 5 miles. Now you're in the Des Plaines River, which does not flow into the Great Lakes, but into the Illinois and the Mississippi. So from here, you've got water access everywhere. And that's awesome. But in 1849, the first canal linking the Chicago to the Des Plaines was built. In that same year, the first rail line linking us to the East Coast was built. Millions of people come here. All of them produce sewage. All of that sewage is dumped into the river. The river at that point flows into the lake, which is where we get our drinking water from. Who can spot the problem here? So we need to fix this. Starting from the South Branch of the river, we take 10 years and about $2 billion in today's money, we dig a 28-mile-long canal all the way out to the Illinois River. More earth is dug out for this than for the Panama Canal. And at the end of it, where this new canal meets the Illinois River is lower in terms of sea level than where the Chicago River meets the lake. Gravity takes over. The river turns around. It now flows backwards. But that's amazing for us because we're not polluting our own drinking water. Our new downstream neighbor is really upset. St. Louis files a lawsuit, the first pollution case to go to the Supreme Court. They charge that we will dump so much trash, this will be a navigational hazard for boats in the Mississippi. That's not true, they lose. You might be wondering, why would they not pursue us and say, hey, you're dumping sewage upstream, please stop that. Flashpoll, it's the late 1800s. Where is St. Louis dumping all of their sewage? The Mississippi. Where does every single town, city, and village in the Mississippi River system dump their sewage? Ultimately, the Mississippi. Does New Orleans ever get to complain about this? You live on a river. Life sucks. So, the river stays reversed, we grow and flourish, St. Louis is fine, and then we get sued by everybody this way. The other 3 states on Lake Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Michigan, say we're draining it. Do they mean that we are emptying the lake? God, no. By itself, Lake Michigan is the 5th largest body of fresh water in the entire world. It's 400 miles long and 150 wide. God, what is that in kilometers? It's like 640 kilometers by 200 kilometers. It's 900 feet deep, about 280 meters. It's big. It's mostly fed by rainfall. We're honestly not taking that much. But we are taking some. We are taking water that would have gone into the, the Illinois or the Great Lakes through the Atlantic into the Illinois and the Mississippi. So we lose, and that's why there's a lock in front of us. There is no direct connection between the river and the lake. The lake is kept about 3 feet higher than us. All boat traffic goes through that lock. When boats come back, a measured amount of water comes with them to keep the river flowing. If you look over there, you're right, all of the boats on the other side of that concrete wall are on the lake. That's why they're higher than us, because they are. You can also see hanging limply in the breeze right there, the flag with the 2 blue stripes and the 4 red stars. The flag of Chicago. 2 blue stripes, river, lake. 3 white stripes, north, west, south sides. Each red star, a different piece of our history. The first was constructed in 1803, the construction of Fort Dearborn. Second's for the Great Fire of Chicago, and then the third and the fourth are for the 2 World's Fairs we hosted in 1893 and 1933. To our left, the black curving building is Lake Point Tower, the only private building east of Lakeshore Drive. It got built back in 1968. Those curves are so that everybody gets a view of the lake and no one's staring into anyone else's living room. The circular thing at the top is a restaurant. Fantastic views, does not rotate. Food's like 70 bucks a plate, bar's like 60 bucks a cocktail. Go for the bar. Navy Pier over there got built in 1916 as a cargo pier. It was then transformed into a naval training facility for World War II, and then it was, what's it called? You ever have your bridge shut down in front of 80 people? That's always fun. So then it was a university, and now it's a recreational destination. Now, behind us, one of the better views of the skyline. You guys will want pictures. Again, I'll turn off the microphone, give you guys some space for that. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We'll be back at the dock in about 8-10 minutes.
Tak.
2020. And this is going after the high-end luxury market, so the cheapest thing in there was a one-room studio that sold for $980,000. To be clear, that is not the average home value you're going to get around there, because in a couple of those houses back there, you can pick up like a 2-bedroom condo for $240,000. It's just that this in particular is going after people with more money than God, who obtained it by leeching from the economic system over the last 30 years, like impoverishing the rest of us, making their lives better, slowly they're crashing the economy, but you know, nice skyscrapers. And this in particular was designed by Jeannie Gang, Studio Gang, and she is fantastic. She's got a lot of stuff in Chicago. We're about to pass by her breakout hit, but this was her, like, when this is completed, this will be the tallest building in the world designed by a woman architect. So, pretty stoked about that. Really cool curves she got over there. Over to our right, you can see the fountain, and above it you can see that brown building that's angled relative to the rest of it. So that anytime you see something like that here, it's mostly about views. Chicago's on a pretty strict grid system. Everything is in straight lines and right angles. So if you angle the building, you now have guaranteed views in every direction that will never be blocked by future construction. Like they'll get diminished slightly, but you'll always have a sight line to something. Trade-off, not as big as it could be. You lose out some square footage. Below it, you can see the fountain. So this is Centennial Fountain to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the reversal of the river. Now, this is a little bit of symbolism to it. So, briefly, a big part of the reason that we were able to reverse this river is because 5 miles that way is the Eastern Continental Divide, which sounds incredibly impressive, but this is the Midwest. It's a 5-foot high ridge. But any water falling to the east of it flows into the Great Lakes and eventually the Atlantic, and any water falling to the west of it flows into the Mississippi and the Gulf of Mexico. So this fountain, we have the central bit, which represents rain, the source of all water. You have 2 wings, which represent the Great Lakes and the Mississippi watersheds. Water flows down them until it meets in the ocean, which is the ultimate destination of all water. Also, once an hour on the hour, it shoots a jet of water across the river for about 5 minutes. It's really fun to watch that happen. And on really hot days, we will go through that, but only on really hot days. If it was about 5 degrees hotter, we would deliberately stall the boat and just try to like do that because it does feel incredibly refreshing. Over to our left, you can see the triangular building. That's the Swiss Hotel. It got built back in 1989. This was designed by Harry Weiss. Again, he likes triangles. But seriously, like, the 2 things that taught you guys, like jagged corners, it's an office building from the late 80s. If you see a triangular building in Chicago, it's by Harry Weiss. And this is the Swiss Hotel. Behind it, you can see Aqua, which was completed in 2009, and this is by Jeannie Gang. This is why I like Jeannie Gang. This was her first ever skyscraper. Before this was a landscape architect primarily, and this was designed in a very unique fashion. They built a scale model of the whole area, and they put laser pointers at interesting things. And then they showed all those lasers at the model of the building. And where you saw a lot of red dots, that's where you stick the balconies. No red dots, no balconies. That's why they ebb and flow over the face of it. If you're not getting a dynamite view, you don't have a balcony. Those are not, by the way, bolt-ons or anything like that. Each concrete floor plate for that skyscraper was poured in a different shape. So, drove the contractors absolutely nuts trying to figure that one out. Up ahead to the right, the building with the yellow dome, that is the Intercontinental Hotel. That dome is there because the building was funded and originally owned by the Shriners. Big fans of Middle Eastern teams, so you put a dome on the top of the building. Now that's not a ballroom or anything, it is just there for decoration, and the lights change about every 3 days. So you've always got like a new fresh light. This is the residences. It got built back in 2002, designed by James DiStefano, and it was built there because of that view. And you can see what I mean pretty good. You're going to get this like 3 times. You can also understand why they would be somewhat upset with both the West and got built in Lighthouse. We do not have view rights in Chicago. There is no legal expectation that you will keep anything you can see out your window. If you feel bad for anybody who lives there, you are just fine. That upright bridge right in front of us, that is an old rail line. Got built in 1908, part of a cargo thing all the way out to Navy Pier to the east. Now, Navy Pier is not a cargo pier. So, they've been shutting this line down since 1998. No trains run on it anymore. But the city has planned this will get turned into a passenger line at some point in the near future. Now, all the older buildings in that direction were built over the top of an existing railroad. The newer buildings, by zoning in this area, have to leave space for one. So once they get the funding together to put down some tracks, you can get a train out there right now. So that'll be cool when it happens. Over here to our left, the 2 thick foot walls of this brick building are because this was built as a meat packing warehouse in 1898. The inside was kept frozen. When they began to renovate this in 1980, it took 3 months to defrost. The triangular buildings over there beyond it, those are the Riverside Cottages, designed in 1990 by Harry Weiss. Now, Harry Weiss was a big fan of triangles. We're going to see 6 triangular buildings by him on the course of this tour. And this, the residential building over here, when this got built, people thought this was idiotic. Why would you want to live on the river? See, this is critical to understanding how Chicago looks today. This river, most of our history, was utterly disgusting. It was an industrial sewer. It smelled bad, it looked bad, nobody wanted to live near it at all. So in 1976, the Clean Water Act gets passed nationwide. We are regulated on what we can dump into bodies of water. The river has massively improved. There are 75 species of fish in here. There's aquatic birds. There's beavers that way. They come down here and take trees. I'm not joking. So it's a lot better. It's still not pristine. It's an urban river, but it's a lot better. Living on it, still a very new idea. All of these townhomes up to our left are from 2002. All right, I'm going to turn off the mic for a bit. You guys have any questions? Excellent time to ask them. Otherwise, excellent time to refill your drinks downstairs.
Done yet. Hey guys. No.
Widać, kto rozumie, co mówi, bo on patrzy na lewo, a my patrzymy na prawo.
Nie, ja słucham, co on mówi. To jest nasza wycieczka? Super. 75 minut było napisane. Tak, tak, tam przy wejściu, ale może...
I on chyba też mówi, to jest coś właśnie, albo się chyba się wydaje.
No szkoda, że zawracamy, bo fajnie jest.
O właśnie, tam do miasta powodu. Tam nie ma samochodu, tam tylko powoli, tylko jest taksówka wodna. No jedynie jest...
Okay, so as we come up from underneath this next bridge here, you look up ahead to the right, you can see how those two buildings are kind of curving into and out of each other. That is real deliberate. The newer building is directly referencing the curve of the old. They both have the same radius curve, if that makes sense, like they fit into each other if you flip them around. And the fancy word for this is called contextualism. The building is referencing its context. You look over here to our left, you can see another nice thing of that. Okay, if you look at the steel fence along the concrete bank right over there to the left, notice how every other panel in that fence has a circle with a Y shape inside it. That Y shape is called the It is a symbol of Chicago that refers to 3 branches of the river which meet right here. So anytime you see that, and now that I pointed out, you're going to see it everywhere, traffic control boxes especially, that's what it's for. When you look beyond that to the left, you can see that building says Levine at the top, 333 West Wacker Drive. This got built back in 1983, designed by Cohn, Peterson, and Fox. It is a special building in our history because that is the first large building about the river. Before this, buildings ignored the river. They hid from it, they turned their backs to it. This embraces the river. Everything about that building ties into it in some respect. Now, like I said, on the right, we've got railroad tracks, and every building over here has to deal with them, which is why 150 North Riverside, there up ahead to the right, with this incredibly narrow base, looks that cool. This is all the space they had for the foundation of that building. There is no trick there. That is a 54-story office building that's 3 times wider than it is at the bottom.
Ale konstrukcja jest niesamowita, taki wąski fundament.
So, first off, this is the first building in the United States entirely made out of grade 4 steel, which is a much stronger steel than you usually need for buildings. Force on each one of those columns is 19 million pounds. If the wind is not blowing. Fun fact about tall buildings, they all sway in the wind. There's no way to stop it. The higher you build, the faster the winds get, the less building you have. So you adapt in various ways. This building adapts. At the top, it's got 6 tanks of water that hold 150,000 gallons. Wind hits the building rocks one way, water sloshes the other way in the tanks, canceling that motion out. If you're still freaked out, it's held up by magic, and if you think about it too much, it'll collapse into something, so just like it. Don't think about it. We'll come back to this on the way up, we'll get another cool view of it, but in the meantime, we've seen a lot of river walks around us, and some construction up ahead on the left. River walks are a relatively new thing. Like, you don't see private river walks like this before 1990. But by 1998, the city has passed an ordinance that says all of the construction along the river must have a publicly accessible river walk. 30-foot setback from the river, open to the public and the sky. As all these new buildings go up, including the 48-story office tower that's going up over here, we get to Riverwalk. This used to be a 5-story office building that did not have a roof. Kind of an improvement. So beyond that, to the left, you can see that brown building. This is the Civic Opera building. It got built back in 1929, and this is a combination structure. The top is an office building, the bottom is the opera house. The idea when this got built is that the rent from the offices supports the building, and that way the opera can focus on itself. Cool idea. So you can see the faces of comedy and tragedy all over here. And then you might have noticed that the word building is spelled with a B instead of a U. This is pretentiousness. The Romans back in the day did not distinguish between the letters U and B. So if you're trying to act like you're as awesome as the ancient Romans, you do that. Best part, those words are not original. This building went up in 1929. Those words were added to it in 1993. Okay, over here to our right, you can see a bunch of modernist office buildings. And then there above Union Station. So, oh, and briefly, you see this blank window building right back over there? Built as a warehouse in the 60s, it's now a data center for AT&T, and according to a newspaper report by The Intercept, also one of the NSA monitoring sites for this country. So don't wait, because they already know you're there. But all of these modernist office buildings here, these get built in the 40s to the 80s, and this style is called black box modernism for hopefully obvious reasons. And this was the original and most hardcore version. In the architect's view here, if you're a good architect, decoration is a failure. You should be able to pick a good-looking material, arrange it in nice proportions, and walk away. And that was their view. Thankfully, that died out by the mid-60s because 1 or 2 of these is cool, but thousands of them are all horrible. So, look at the background. You see that angular building? This is what modernism turns into before it disappears. You can still see the structure, but they're messing with the shape of it to kind of make it look an earlier version of that, right over here on the left. This frame building is from 1968. No access. You got your windows framework, your shutter framework. You know, taking the framework and a cool little wall effect. Shiny black building here, these are highly polished slabs of black granite. If this got built any time before 1940, there would be carvings on every single one. Since it's modernism, so come over, have a seat and remain seated because we have an excellent captain. I trust him. He's going to get us in here safely, but weird stuff happens. Boats speed by us, drunk people run into us. We just want you guys braced for like this portion. We will get you off the boat as fast as we can, but please wait for the deckhands in orange to explicitly tell you that it's okay to get up and move around, because we know when the boat stops moving, and there's a point which we slow down a lot in order for the lines to get tight. We don't want you to get taken by surprise. If you guys have any further questions for me, your restaurant recommendations, directions, ideas on things to do, I love that stuff. I'll be waiting up at the top of the steps next to your boarding photos. You can ask me anything you want. Incidentally, this tour has changed you. I mean, obviously you know more, but I would argue that you are a better person as well. And if you want to look back at your previous degenerate life, you have a picture of that available for you to purchase. You can use it as an inspiration. If you guys just want to like non-verbally indicate that you thought I did a good job, but you don't want to talk to me, fist bump, high five, handshake, all of that is acceptable. If you hated every single thing about this tour, bury that feeling deep within yourself, never speak of it to another living human being. If you did have a life-changing, fantastic experience, my name is Ben. This is Shoreline Sightseeing. Please give us a 5-star review on TripAdvisor or Facebook or Yelp. And if you do, I'm not saying you have to, but if you do, please put my name in there. Ben. B-E-N. I'm emphasizing this because I have a side note with another tour guide and there's beer money that one, so I would like to work. But also, you guys should get some hot dogs while you're here. And every time I say that, people always like, ew, hot dogs. I don't know what you people are doing to your hot dogs, and they're not disgusting, but rest assured that here in Chicago, all of our hot dogs are manufactured by the Vienna Beef Corporation. They are sold to literally everywhere, and they are good, solid meat. If you doubt that, you can go to the Vienna Beef's Factory Cafe, grab a hot dog, and sit down next to a factory worker on brand who will also be eating one. They make them, they like them. That is a testament to quality. So, because all of our hot dogs in every single location here are good meat, that is why you don't put ketchup on them. Let us be very clear. Ketchup is sugary tomato water. It is a bribe for children to eat their vegetables. It is when an adult puts on a piece of meat he is utterly ruined in order to salvage some kind of edibility. If you go into any good hot dog place in Chicago and order ketchup on your hot dog, they will politely send you to the back of the line so that you have time to rethink your choices in life and maybe like inspired to become a better person. If you are in a fantastic hot dog place, they will utterly refuse to serve you because you have proven you're not worth their time. So lots of other acceptable topics. Don't get ketchup. But you guys have been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for coming out today, folks. Please enjoy the heck out of the rest of your stay in Chicago.
No proszę. Cóż to za kolesie na pomniku stoi, na cokole?
George Washington.
A! Maurice Washington i Salomon. Tak, widzę, już go uchwyciłem.
mamy zielone.
Y'all, another movie, Color Purple. My favorite movie is Color Purple. Anybody here watch Color Purple? So it says, sister, you've been on my mind, oh, sister, but you of a kind, so, sister, I'm keeping my eye on you. I bet you don't think I know nothing but singing the blues, but sister, how I got news for you. I'm something. I hope you think that you're something too. To all my queens, goddesses, earths, wisdoms, sisters, six strings, vixens, females, and prostitutes, to just imagine. What if God put the truth in prostitutes? I'll offer you this.